Okay, so I've started recording, Sarah.
Okay, welcome to the 2021 annual Maxfield Parish Council meeting. And you can watch us on YouTube, on the Macclesfield Town Council YouTube channel. So due to the coronavirus and COVID-19 restrictions, and in line with the local authorities and police and crime panels, coronavirus flexibility of local authority and police and crime panel meetings, this is a mouthful, England and Wales, regulations 2020, this meeting will be held remotely. As you may have guessed, we're not together. We are in the virtual world of Zoom. And we are being recorded and we are live on YouTube, so please don't swear. The statutory annual parish meeting is an occasion for members of the public to ask questions and make comments and raise issues of interest to the town. And it's been a pleasure in the past to do this in person at the town hall. I look forward to doing that again in the future. So you're here, so you've had two ways to do this, by submitting a resolution to be discussed at the town meeting. Written notice of a resolution should have been submitted to the town clerk prior to the meeting. And if the resolution is passed, the town council is then obliged to consider the matter at subsequent meetings, which we have done in the past. By participating and speaking in the town, and the other way is to participate and speak at the meeting as you are now virtually in the land of Zoom. So just to say welcome to everybody. It's really good to see everybody again. I've been away for a while in a period of mourning. And I think we just need to remember that everybody, like the royal family and my family, you know, have lost somebody throughout this pandemic. And I know my theme was kindness, but if ever there was a time for kindness, it's now. And I do expect this meeting to be held in the spirit of kindness and cooperation for the good of the town. Can I just remind everybody too that there is elections for the Police and Crime Commissioner and also in Central Ward. And this meeting and the things that people say must be apolitical. There can't be any party political broadcasting, while you are live on YouTube. Party political campaigning is not allowed, and I will not hesitate to A, give you warning, and B, ask you to leave the meeting. So I will come over a bit school marmish because I do work in a school. I'm going back to work soon. So that's the rules, the ground rules. And just to introduce a little bit of information as Communities Champion, I'd just like to thank every group and every individual in the town who've been absolutely fantastic in supporting one another, in supporting the community, in feeding the community, in doing the shopping, doing all those things. And I feel very proud as a town councillor and as the mayor in how much everybody's mucked in and supported one another. I'm very proud that the town council has been able to support groups financially. So, for example, I'll just give you a few very quick facts and figures. The Hope Centre has produced 7,568 meals since the pandemic. Referrals to Silk Life Food Bank has gone up by 75%, and they've actually distributed tons of food. I can't see the actual figures now. I'm reading from the screen. Core have done 47,400 meals, and the Green in the Corner had done 1,000 meals over the first lockdown, and are now doing 30 a week before they open again. Just let me get my mouse. The wonders of new technology and the need of a new pair of glasses because of lockdown. There were a ton of food a week, Silk Life. In Corner, let's see, Calvary have been given microwavable meals out each week. Streetwise have been given 74,600 meals a week, and Create have done absolutely brilliantly with their bags of food, their support for young people, and as well as the Mayor's charities, as well as the lovely Macclesfield Seals Disability Swimming Group. So thank you once again for all the support that everybody has provided everybody in the town as community champion, and thanks everyone for being kind. So let's move on. That's enough of me talking for now. So let's start off with some apologies. So I know we've got Town Clerk Laura, we've got Neil. Can I just say congratulations to Neil and Jess on the birth of their beautiful baby daughter, who I believe is called Sylvia. So congratulations. And who else have we got?
Mick Warren and Finn Shenton.
Okay, thank you, duly noted. And the minutes from the next item on the agenda 3 is minutes of the...
and sorry, Councillor Bennett, we've also got Lynn Jones has given her apologies.
All right then, so people are busy and they've got other things to do, so I hope you're all well and everything's okay. So the minutes from the annual Town Council meeting, the 20th of May 2019, there were a number of us attended, and some of those people aren't here today. So Town Clerk Laura, do you want me to read the names out or not?
No, we just need a proposer and a seconder.
Yeah, so if I got a proposer for those minutes, someone who was there, thank you. Councillor Edwards, I know you were there. And can I have a seconder, please? Someone else who's at that meeting. Councillor Roberts, thank you. And can we go to the vote for that meeting? Only people who have attended. So all those in favour? Yeah, as a true record. Thank you very much. Any against? And any abstentions? Yeah, so Janet, you went there. Okay, thank you. So that's carried. Okay, so I sort of jumped in with my update at the beginning there, so I do apologise, but it's best to get my chatty bit away at the beginning. So we've got some updates now from our council champions, and we're going to start off with the climate emergency and eco summit, and I believe Abby, our events and communications officer, is going to do this on behalf of Councillor Puttick as he's on paternity leave.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
So yeah, just a quick update on the climate emergency. So as a council, we're quite aware that there is a climate crisis, and we're committed to working hard, supporting initiatives and acting in a sustainable way. Future forests is something that we're very big on, and we've committed to tree planting in a sympathetic and sustainable way. The developers of the King's School site on Fence Avenue have confirmed that there is already some tree planting planned, but in principle have agreed to work with the Town Council on further planting of trees. Species and size is obviously something that's very important, and we'll take advice from Cheshire East Council on that. Other things that we are doing through social media, we're supporting sustainable projects. We're working with an e-cargo delivery service to deliver council papers in place of normal cars. With regards to active travel, we're looking at increasing the number of bike racks around the town centre, and we're working with local cyclists and organisations on that. And we're also working closely with Cheshire East Council and looking to introduce EV charging points in Macclesfield. Also, on the 15th of May this year, Macclesfield Town Council and Mactastic will be hosting an Eco Summit, which is open to members of the public via Zoom. The agenda for the day, we've consulted with interested parties and members of the public through social media and via email to ensure that the programme actually contains things that are interesting to people. The event's aiming to get people talking about what they want to see in Macclesfield with regards to sustainability and climate change and how it can be achieved and the next steps that we need to take. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abby. Right, okay, so next we've got the public realm updates and parks, including South Park Pavilion, from the fabulous councillor Janet Jackson, MBE, mentor, former mayor. And I'll give you a build up, Janet, and street scene champion. Thank you, Janet.
Well, how do I follow that? Madam Mayor. Okay, I'll be reasonably brief. We've had quite an exciting year and a lot to deal with because of the pandemic, but despite that, I think we've got on with the work very well. So I'll start with the Ranger Service, who continue to do a great job keeping the town tidy, cleaning the gut spots, making the place look attractive and maintaining the floral displays. There are 3 on the Rangers team, including our new lead ranger who joined us today. We also shortly intend to take on a junior ranger as part of an apprentice scheme. So the Ranger Service is really very well appreciated by the residents. It's one of the services that we get most positive feedback from the residents out there. Going on to the play areas, we have a programme of upgrading play areas around the town, and each year a couple of wards will be able to put a bid in and see what improvements they can have. And at the moment, it's the Lannet Walk play area on Broughton Cross, and that is virtually completed. There are just some minor works to a path that need to be finished. And improvements to the play area at Banbury Park on Herdsfield have been out for public consultation, and a review of residents' feedback is now being undertaken. At the last full council meeting on the 29th of March, it was agreed to go ahead with the asset transfer of South Park Pavilion. Heads of terms are now with Cheshire East legal team. The pavilion will be a venue for community events, and it will include a cafe, toilet facilities. And we hope also to be able to provide sporting equipment for hire for the if we can get the pitch and putt back again, which I know was very popular in the past, and hire of equipment for the tennis courts, etc. 2022 marks the centenary of the South Park Pavilion, and maybe if we can get the process to move quickly, although that's not always easy, as we all know, we hope to have the foundation stone laid by the end of 2022, but we will see how it goes. We've had several new benches and bins installed across the town, and we've just recently instructed ANSA to provide some dog poo dispensers. It's a very lovely thing to talk about, really, but they are one of the things that we are asked to provide to the residents there, and to help to keep the area clean. So they've been instructed, ANSA have been instructed to provide these dispensers at Thornton Square, Christchurch and Heritage Walk, and also we are looking at getting a new bin at Larkhall Road. And finally, I'll just finish with the conservation area appraisal, which is a piece of work that the Town Council have taken on as Cheshire East were not able to fund this as part of their budget, and so we are funding this, and we've had several workshops. That Donald Insel are the company that are running this appraisal. We've had several workshops, one which was the Town Council and Cheshire East, and that included planning officers, conservation officer, etc. We had a heritage workshop which included the Victorian Society and Macclesfield Silk Museum, among others. A local interest workshop, which included faith group, environment group, and the Macclesfield Town Centre Recovery mailing list was invited. And really this workshop was open to anyone and everyone who wanted to take part. It was very widely publicised. And we're also planning a workshop for schools. There were site visits undertaken, and Donald Insel will shortly be providing their draft appraisal for further consultation with the Town Council and Cheshire East, and all the everyone in the town who wants to take part and make their comments known. And once that has been finished, then the final draft will go to Cheshire East for their final public consultation on their Cheshire East website. So that's the sort of things that have been going on in Macclesfield this year. Okay, thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Janice. And I really appreciate the Town Rangers work. Some lovely flowers in the town today, and lots of really good work going on there for the benefit of all the community. So now we'll hear from the lovely Councillor Fiona Wilson, who is our leisure and outdoor champion. So Fiona, thank you, Councillor Wilson.
Thanks very much, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everybody. What I wanted to report to you is progress that we made in the area of leisure and outdoors. And the first thing is about Park Fit. Matt Rigby, Macclesfield's very own Joe Wicks, stepped up to the plate when the pandemic first started, and Park Fit moved online onto Facebook Live. And 2 sessions of Park Fit have taken place on Mondays and Thursdays every week. But I'm pleased to say now that Park Fit will return to South Park on the 10th of June, but it will continue virtually on Mondays. So we're still going to continue with 2 sessions, but one will be in the park and one will be online. We just heard from Councillor Jackson about the updates on parks, but I particularly wanted to comment on Wimble Street Park, which is in Macclesfield South Ward, where I represent with Neil Puttick, who isn't able to be with us here this evening because he's just become a new dad. So that's fantastic news. Phase 1 is almost complete at Wimble Street Park. What we have left to complete is the path, which we want to have all the way. There's going to be a running track all the way around the football pitch, and that's just waiting to be completed. We're waiting for funds to do that. And we have really concentrated on increasing the amount of outdoor seating. And we're all already in the future are going to have to get used to spending more time outside. And we're very keen on providing more outdoor seating so people can enjoy the outdoors with their families and friends as we come out of lockdown. Phase 2 of Wimble Street Park, I'm very much hoping we're going to be able to get on to in the next year. The Town Council always invests £100,000 every year in parks. And that money is spread around the wards in rotation, so all the different wards get amounts spent in their areas. But phase 2 of the Wimble Street Park is going to include the enhancement and the resurfacing of the BMX track. I know we've got a question about this later, but this is something that we had planned to do. We discussed this at the Services Committee meeting last week. We're also waiting for new gym equipment. Hard standing is in for the gym equipment, but that needs to be installed, and more outdoor seating and some bulb planting and some wildflower planting areas, but they're in phase 2. So I'm very hopeful we'll get around to that in the next year. Street sports have recommenced in Jasmine Park, Banbury Close and South Park on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, where professional trainers are supporting young people who can come along with their parents and guardians to engage in outdoor sports. And finally, in the area of outdoors and leisure, we've been doing a lot of work on our allotments. We have 7 different allotment locations, and our rangers have been doing an excellent job clearing up the allotment plots that have become overgrown and very messy, and giving a lot of support to allotment holders. Some trees need attention to them, etc. So the allotment plots are all very much improved and all looking good. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you ever so much. And next we move on to it's Councillor Wilson again as the Town Centre Regeneration Champion. If you just let us give us a little update on the Town Centre Recovery Plan, please. Thank you.
I will do, lovely. Thanks, Mayor. So on the Town Centre Recovery Plan, I think this is one of the real success stories of COVID-19 for the Town Council. We've been working very closely in conjunction with Cheshire East Council, with Make It Macclesfield, with Peaks and Plains, with the Community and Voluntary Services in Cheshire East, and with the Silk Museums to bring together a group of stakeholders to create a recovery plan for Macclesfield. The plan process started off with an open meeting of residents, which a large number of people attended. We listened to their concerns. We did 2 surveys. We did a survey of residents, for which we got 580 responses, and we did a survey of businesses, and we got 76 responses that have all helped us inform our plan. We're making good progress with the plan. We developed an action points for that. For example, hand sanitisers that are now back on the streets in Macclesfield were funded by the Town Council. And we're working very hard on creating outdoor hospitality spaces, again, so that people can eat and drink comfortably outside because of the COVID pandemic. We have 4 separate working groups working with the Town Centre Recovery Group. One on communications, one on community response, one on outdoor eating and hospitality. And Abby's told us earlier this evening about the Eco Summit that's being planned on the 15th of May. One of the really positive things about as we continue with our town centre recovery is that the government have recently announced a Welcome Back Fund. And part of the requirement for being successful in making a bid to the Welcome Back Fund is for a town to have a recovery plan. So I'm really delighted that we spent the time working on this recovery plan, which we tested out with a group of residents and other interested individuals, a number of whom are here on this call this evening. So I think in terms of our town centre recovery and COVID recovery plan, I think it's all very positive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson, and also thanks to Councillor Jackson as well, who was involved in chairing that meeting, and everyone, all the groups and individuals from the town who've had the foresight to start planning for the future, because we do need to look forward now. We can't dwell on the past and all the sad things that have happened. We do need to be like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I'll stop babbling now. You can tell I've not been in public for a while. So, talking of communications, we've got our lovely communications and working together communication. That doesn't make sense. I'm sure someone will correct me on this. Our communications champion and our events and communications officer. So we've got Councillor Chris Wilcock and the lovely Abby to give us an update. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Welcome to the meeting, everybody. Just wanted to provide some information in relation to the communications from the Town Council are doing, and then Abby, I think, was going to say a few words as well, just in relation to what she's been doing. Sorry, excuse me. So work started in November with the addition of the communications officer to the Town Council. Here is Abby, and she's been ongoing to bolster the council's social media presence on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. There's been more regular posting, engagement through events such as the online Advent window trail, and also the virtual Chinese New Year celebrations, which has seen our followers increase on all platforms, which puts us in a great position when it comes to spreading more serious or urgent news or information about council initiatives. An updated promotional leaflet has also been produced, showing what falls under the remit of Macclesfield Town Council itself against that of the work of Cheshire East Council. And again, this has been well received by members of the public and other organisations. The next step, once non-essential retail resumes, and in conjunction with the Town Centre Recovery Working Group that Councillor Wilson's already mentioned, is to develop a contact database for the Town Centre businesses, shops and hospitality, etc. Channels will be opened with those who wish to participate, and communications can be shared about upcoming projects, works happening to storefronts, applications for payment licences, etc. The Town Council is also undertaking a website redevelopment tender with a view to overhauling the current site. The new site will be fully compliant with accessibility legislation and will also be easy to navigate to find information that people are looking for on the website. The Town Council is also conscious of those who do not choose or have access to the internet or any social media, and so other avenues are being pursued by the Town Council. These include display boards outside the Town Hall, which have been repainted and are now in use with permission from Cheshire East Council. Displays information on council meetings, civic awards, etc. The potential for notice boards in each of the wards in the town has been looked into, and also a relationship with radio and local print magazines has been fostered with a view to using these to communicate with our residents as well. So it's just a brief outline of the communications, and Abby, are you going to say a few words?
No, I think you've covered it all, Councillor Wilcott. Thank you.
Brilliant, and thank you both so much for all that, helping with the communication information. Like you said, not everybody is on social media, so having those leaflets and paper versions and notice boards are really important. And can I just say thank you very much, Abby, for delivering those daffodils on the Random Act of Kindness Day. They were very much appreciated. She also sang happy birthday as well, so thank you. Thank you very much for all your hard work, Chris. So we'll move on now. We've got another update on projects and events from our lovely Events and Communities Manager, the lovely Helena Gower. Thank you, Helena.
Thank you, Chair. So at the start of 2020, we had so many plans for events, but as COVID-19 hit our community, these plans all had to be reimagined. We responded to the limitations of the pandemic by offering virtual and home-based events. We had huge plans for a large-scale VE Day celebration in South Park with military vehicles, helicopters and music in the bandstand. Although we were unable to go ahead with the event, we promoted an adapted version which encouraged people to celebrate on doorsteps and front gardens. The result was a fantastic coming together of our local communities, with streets across the town enjoying stay-at-home celebrations and creating memories. We also provided a reimagined Welly Walk and Nature Needs You event and a series of Christmas celebrations for the town, including an Advent trail and a new take on the Tree of Light. The reinvented Chinese New Year celebrations in February brought with them a fun virtual reality trail which involved drawings from the community being brought to life through VR, as well as lots of videos from the community groups we work with on this event. And now the focus turns on what is yet to come. As has already been talked about, the first Eco Summit in partnership with Mactastic will take place next month. In early July, we are planning the production of hundreds of party packs to encourage the celebration of our NHS heroes on National NHS Day. As we move out of lockdown, we move closer to being able to launch Play Streets through the Playing Out project. We are also planning a full and varied calendar of events to take place throughout the year, which will respond to any restrictions which we face. This includes 3 levels of different plans for Christmas so that celebrations can take place in any circumstance. More details on upcoming events can be found in previous service committee updates and also promoted through our social media and our website. In summary, we look forward to the next year and bringing the events back face to face so we can all be together again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helena, and thank you very much. You've done a fantastic job this year under difficult circumstances, and we've all gone through a real learning curve of using new technology, but also the doorstep celebrations as well. People have taken to their hearts, and I know certainly in Hertsfield, you know, there were some lovely celebrations of people getting dressed up in vintage clothing and even vintage vehicles turning up, and yeah, lots of afternoon teas and stuff. So yeah, I've really enjoyed doing that at home and having a bit of dance to 1940s music in the cafe. So swiftly moving on, I am talking too much. We've got Councillor Ailith Harewood to give her little update on the as the transport champion. Is Ailift? Take yourself off mute, lovely.
Chair, I'm just trying to unmute myself. As the transport champion, I looked at it as just what the word means, transport, taking yourself from one place to another. And that had got to be linked with safety, accessibility, and availability. And in looking at that, it's linked to other systems as the highways, infrastructure, lighting, weather, and those links are made with Cheshire East. And the need to get to use the transport, the roads at any time and at all times. Now, because we now have a changing gaze at transport, and that changing gaze has brought out other systems such as walking, cycling in the debate, and with motorized and non-motorized system, we are seeing that that is increasing. And there are now many, many changes in the speed limits of roads around the estate everywhere that is now taking a higher profile than it had been, because there's now a program through Cheshire East. It also means that we are making those changes for safety and health and leisure. And so that's going on there. But I looked at transport both at public and private levels, at subsidized levels, at people helping people levels, and by volunteer organizations. And in the parish, for this parish meeting, I have listed that under 5 headings: public transport, private transport, car use, transport solutions, which is a Cheshire East organizations, and this, and statistics in accidents and fatalities. Now, on public transport, I will go back to the bus services, and I have been told that we now have a bus service to the airport, which is useful, I think. But on the local buses, they have continued. Sometimes very few passengers, but recently an increase in passengers, and I've seen buses passing with like half full. So people are getting more and more using the bus. And but the terminus, the bus station locally has continued to use that social distancing idea. So they disembark in Queen Victoria Street and they embark on the bus station. And I must say, I have been told by several people of the courtesy of the drivers, as they will be helping people to navigate how to use the bus and how they are using the bus and where they're stopping and all that. And I think that is to be commended. Reflecting on private car parking, I have not had, since we have listened and addressed the parking meters, I have not heard any other complaints, including the restriction of the 20 places now with the town council, with Castle Street development. So that there's always seems to be places that are left for parking, and I have personally not heard anything. Now, the transport is also, because of the new attention, the increased attention to cycling and walking and all that, it is also included in planning considerations. When planning is happening, people are asking quite rightly for that. In the statistics of accidents, I haven't been able to get a firm number, but I know that the last fatality that happened in Kendall Road, when it was looked at, it was now thought not to be linked the road or to the traffic. And so that came off the books. I don't know, and I'm willing to take remarks on that as a town, as an area, we are not high in that sort of negative statistical information. I think I would say that also we have in Macclesfield and around this new debate on speed limits. And so there's a new set of speeding information where we have a lot of roads on 20 miles. And that is an ongoing exercise and debate. So looking at transport, which is such a linking area, I will continue to look at that to see how we're doing, and the new look of leisure and walking and cycling and less speeding to see how we get on. And I think that's the report I'd like to give. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Councillor Harewood. That's really good. And I like that broad idea of transport as what's it called, from Shanks's ponies to you know, driving at a reasonable speed limit when you're going past the schools. That's really important. Thank you so much. Right, so we're going to move on now to item 5, and it was to consider any resolutions and questions of which there's been written notice has been given. There are no resolutions being given prior to the meeting, just some questions. So I believe Town Clerk Laura, that Lynn Jones gave her apologies earlier. Yeah.
Yes, Lynn's given her apologies.
So next then we'll go to Beverly Dooley, who has a question about Congleton Tip. Beverly, if you unmute yourself.
I have, I've just done it. Yes, it's Cheshire East, as you just say, Cheshire East is looking into the household waste recycling provision. And the proposal states there will be a minimum of 2 centres closing. Congleton, possibly Bollington, and certainly Poynton isn't out of the woods. This is going to mean extra traffic on our roads, and if Bollington closes, there will be an increased traffic flow through Oxford Road, Park Lane, both of which are residential areas. It will also mean further congestion at the Flowerpot Junction and on Congleton Road. These areas already have an increased environmental pollution levels, and the proposal, whichever one is chosen, will increase the pollution levels further. Also, people are going to be forced to travel further, therefore there will probably be an increase in fly tipping. The Town Council, my question really is, the Town Council as the residents' consultee body, will you be insisting Cheshire East Council undertakes an environmental impact assessment? And if not, why not? Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. So I spent a lot of time at the tip myself lately, so it's always an issue. And I am a keen recycler myself. So Councillor Warren's given us apologies. So who's going to answer this one? Does anyone want to make any comments? Thank you, Town Clerk.
What I would say is so far we have not responded to it, and as the Town Clerk, I've received maybe, I think one person has mentioned it to me so far, but that is just you know, what we've seen. I don't know if any other councillors want to come in or anybody else wants to talk about the tip. We haven't been consulted on it yet as well either. I think Councillor Mannion wants to come in. Nick Mannion.
Just for information, the household waste recycling centre issue is due to be considered at the May meeting of the Cheshire East Cabinet. So no decision has yet been taken regarding which tips will be open and or which tips will have to close. All I would say is if Congleton, if we are to retain a waste recycling facility in Congleton, it will not be at the same place because the owner of the land on which it's in is served the council with notice to quit. And so we have to leave that, and we'd have to leave that by the end of September. What provision there will be going forward are obviously issues that will almost certainly be discussed at the May Cabinet meeting. So that's just for information.
Thank you, Nick. And then I had Councillor Roberts. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is something I brought up a couple of weeks ago at the Town Council meeting, and I think I agree with Beverly Dooley that the Town Council should make representations to Cheshire East. I think it's vitally important that we stand up and make sure Congleton, a town the size of Congleton, not having a tip is just unthinkable. It's going to create 300 journeys a day extra, and it's going to work out about 1.5 million miles a year for drivers. It's going to increase fly tipping. So I think it's vitally important. There wasn't much appetite for it at the meeting, I must admit, but I do think it should be prioritised as a matter of urgency, because it's certainly not going to help Cheshire East in their carbon neutral policy, and it's certainly going to impact Macclesfield, especially around the tip. As we all know, most days you can go up there and have to queue up to get in now. So what will it be like with 300 extra journeys, possibly a day? So I think it's vitally important we do put representations to Cheshire East and ask them what they're going to do. And I think I would support any move for Congleton to have a tip. I think it's important that a town the size of Congleton should have their own tip. So thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. And I think as usual what happens at these meetings is we will obviously, nothing's been decided yet, and then when we are consulted, we will comment and listen to our residents.
Yeah.
But we're not Cheshire East, are we? Sorry, Town Clerk Laura.
Just for more information, when I was doing some research, I do understand, and I hope this is right, that the procurement will go out in 2023 to look at all of waste, and so that is going to be happening as well. So although no decisions have been made as yet, as I said, I've had like one person mention it to me, so it's kind of responding as well to what residents see or asking for as well. So I don't know if Beverly wants to pass a motion and see if anybody else wants to agree, and then it can be put on an agenda, and I'm sure the councillors will talk about it anyway. But that's how I would propose. We haven't been consulted on it yet.
Yeah, if there is a proposal, I would like the council to insist that Cheshire East Council does an environmental impact assessment.
So the motion would be to insist Cheshire East Council, that Mac Town Council would write to Cheshire East and insist they do an environmental assessment of the Congleton tip or any of the tips.
The consequences of Macclesfield tip, around Macclesfield tip, and the environmental pollution and things like that can be done.
Because is it though that Macclesfield tip isn't at risk, it's the tip, is it Congleton tip?
No,
or...
Macclesfield tip is at risk if Congleton closes, Bollington or Poynton close, or both. Then there will be increased traffic flow through Macclesfield Central, which is Park Lane, Oxford Road, which also incorporates Western Ivy, South, and all the other wards.
Yeah.
And going to that tip, the environmental impact assessment needs to be around Macclesfield Recycling Centre.
Okay, so if it is, the motion is Cheshire East to do an environmental assessment of the consequences of either Bollington, Congleton or Poynton tip closing on the Macclesfield tip and surrounding.
Yeah, and Congleton, don't forget Congleton as well.
Yeah.
Councillor Wilson, you've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I thought an environmental impact assessment had already been done as part of the process of dealing with the issues at Cheshire East Council level about waste and recycling. As we've got Nick Mannion here, could we perhaps ask him to update us on that? I think this has already been done.
Nick Mannion, do you just want to respond to that quickly?
Yeah, because of the nature of the proposed changes, an environmental impact assessment would have been done. So perhaps you may wish to, I'm not going to tell you how you do your job, but you may wish to say, if one hasn't been done, can it be done? Or it has been done, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that okay, Beverly?
If I could just point out, the assessments that were done June 20 in the middle of a pandemic. We need one that is current now we're opening up.
Thank you, Beverly.
Thank you.
You know, they're all poignant issues, and the poignant issues yes, sorry, Laura.
Yeah, just to point out for information only that Cheshire has nearly twice the tips, etc., of the recommended amount as well. So that's another consideration in there, that we do have a lot already. And I know it's difficult when you're taking something away, but we are nearly at twice across Cheshire East.
You stole me thunder, Laura. I was going to say that, having been to the tip quite frequently in Liverpool, is that there is a school of thought is that the more access to the tip you are, the more stuff people throw away. And actually we want people to, repair, recycle, renew, and so on. Just thinking about that, trying to clear my dad's shed full of come in handy stuff, but from that war generation of people who did repair things and make things and so on. That's something that we need. Going to the tip has been a bit of a day out during lockdown. So it's all, we'll have to consider all these things. And I want to just say thank you so much for raising those concerns, because they're all very important. So thank you. So let's move on to our next question.
Sarah, so it's a motion. What we do is we'll vote on it. People vote on it. So the motion I've got is, can Macclesfield Town Council insist Cheshire East Council do a current updated impact assessment around Macclesfield area if Congleton, Bollington or Poynton tip close?
Okay.
Who's in favour? If you could put your hand or your virtual hand up.
Keep your hands up. Six.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beverly, I'm assuming your hand is up. I can't see it. Oh, Gareth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 hands up at the moment.
Yeah, Beverly's got a hand up as well. Yeah.
So that's 7. We need 10 to pass the motion.
Okay, so all those against?
Yeah. So we've got 7, so it wasn't enough to pass the motion.
Yeah, it's not enough. And then I was going to say abstentions, I'm going to abstain. Okay, so I'm sure it'll be discussed anyway, Beverly, so don't worry too much. So let's go to Chris now, Chris Mountcastle, who has a question about Wimble Park skate track.
Hi everyone. Yes, it's kind of already been answered in some respects in regards to it being in phase 2. I'm just wanting to know more information in regards to the BMX track, because it is in such a poor state of disrepair really, and in some point quite dangerous for young children to ride. So when I think Councillor Wilson may have said that it was in the next 12 months to a year, what kind of time frames within that is it going to be? And is it possible for external sources such as myself as a bike shop or a bike business, along with other local businesses, that we could maybe raise some funds to get this in process a little bit quicker as well.
Oh, thank you, Chris. That's so kind. Councillor Wilson, would you like to reply, please?
Yes, thank you very much indeed. And thanks, Chris, for coming along this evening to raise this issue. As I reported earlier, the Wimble Street Park received £100,000 of funding last financial year. So the whole of the funding for last financial year went to the Wimble Street Park, A, because of its size, and B, because it's on the border between Macclesfield South Ward and Macclesfield East Ward, so it serves a number of residents. We had a number of plans for it, including a gym, a sports track, and the refurbishment of the BMX track, which is in phase 2, which I personally hope we will do this year. What I suggest you do is perhaps we could share email addresses after the meeting, and if you could come along to the next services committee meeting or a meeting in future to talk about, you know, how we can work together to refurbish it sooner. And certainly we would always do a consultation on something like that. We consult with local residents, as there was a consultation over the original refurbishment of the park. And then, you know, we can work together, we can fundraise, we can get advice from people who are going to use the track and what they want, which obviously is really, really key. So perhaps if you would agree, I could give you an email after the meeting, and then we can work together on how we would pursue that.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good.
Yeah. Clearly will be a council meeting decision rather than me individually on my own, but colleagues here on the call will know I've already raised it at our services committee meeting last week, because I'm very keen that we do complete the park. So if you wouldn't mind letting me have your email via the town clerk, we'll keep in contact about it.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. Thank you. Okay,
oh, thanks very much, Chris. That's really kind to offer that support. And this is what the town council's all about, is the community and the elected members working together. And that makes me really happy. It's the spirit of Macclesfield. Right, we'll move on before I get too slushy. So we've got Gareth Jones now.
Madam Mayor, sorry, Councillor Howard wanted to speak.
Oh, sorry, Ailith, go on, off you go.
No, it's all right. I'm not being facetious. I just wondered if this gentleman had any idea at the moment what the cost will be, or we're still waiting for that. Do you have any idea?
I know I've been in contact. There's a group on Facebook for the Wimble Park pump track. They had a quotation from Clark and Kent, who originally did the track back in 2009, I believe. And they do a number of tracks throughout the country. Their quotation was for £36,000, but that was back in September. So that gives you a rough idea. That was for a redesign and full tarmacking as well. So obviously once that's done, there's very little maintenance required. Whereas the original track, which is still in place, it really did need maintenance throughout its lifespan. So going forward, it would benefit the Cheshire East in doing it that way, in a tarmac track. One, due to low maintenance, but also that more people are able to use it. It's not just cyclists, but it's maybe skaters, scooter, you know, children on scooters and such like. So it opens a span of the usability of the track.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Councillor Wilson, did you have your hand up, or you're okay?
No, it's okay. I mean, obviously we would engage with ANSA as well and get their views, but I think the sensible thing really is to get some up-to-date costings, I think, to know how much it's going to cost going forward, and have a consultation on what people want, because you know, I'm not a mega expert on BMX tracks, but clearly we have people here who are. So I think it's a matter of us working out what's required and taking it from there.
Lovely, thanks very much. It's good to see a bit of cooperation. Right, so thank you very much, Chris. So now we're going to just move on to is Gareth here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hiya, Gareth.
Hiya.
You're all right.
Can
What's your mystery question? I'm intrigued.
Mystery question. I've got a few questions, and I've got a few. First of all, can I offer my condolences to you, Madam Mayor? Of your reason, I too have lost both parents in the last 18 months, so very sad time. But my condolences. You will get through it. So
Thank you. That's lovely.
okay. Just going back, this wasn't a question. It's just a vote that you've just had. That vote was open to all residents of Macclesfield. You said there was 7, but there's more here. I don't know whether you had abstentions or people who voted no.
With the vote we just had on the motion about,
Yeah,
it's 10 votes to pass the motion. And
Yeah,
7 people put the hand up.
and I don't think people were, I think people were confused. I really
Okay.
do.
We can,
Can I ask us to have the vote taken again?
We can do
Okay.
that. I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
For clarity, I've been in meetings where we've had to do that. So that is fine by me. So, Laura, would you read the motion out again, please?
I will read the motion out again. So the motion is, can Macclesfield Town Council insist that Cheshire East Council does a current environmental impact assessment around Macclesfield tip on the consequence of closing Bollington, Poynton or Congleton tips?
Okay. So all those in favour, please put your hands up and keep them up while we count.
Right, so I've got 1, 2,
7. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 6. No.
I make it 8 now.
Okay.
So it's pass the motion.
Okay. So just for clarity,
So go on. Yeah.
just for clarity, we'll say that all those against and those abstentions.
Okay.
Okay, Laura, do you just want to read
Yeah,
them?
so that's
for
8,
clarity?
8, 4 and 6 abstentions.
Gareth, are you happier now?
Yeah, I got to get it. Yeah, it was a bit confusing. Okay.
Yes.
It's just the way that the standing orders go,
be-
that you need 10.
It says it
At
in
the
the
meeting.
council, yes. And
Yeah.
I think part of the I think it's easier when you're face to face.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It just looked a bit confusing. Okay. It's on the 1:30 bus. Obviously, Mac Town Council are funding it. I'd like to know what funding has come from Hanforth, Alderley Edge, Wimslow, Alderley Edge, Nether Alderley, and Henbury.
Thank you, Laura, Town Clerk.
So at this point, I don't have the exact figures, but I can get them for you because we're in basically Councillor Warren was dealing with this, but I will say it's rough. We are paying less than everyone else. And it equates to about match funding the 40,000 Cheshire East were putting in. I know that Wilmslow was paying a substantial amount more, and I did watch the parish council meeting at Hanforth, and they passed to pay 10,000. So the Mac Town Council were paying less because it wasn't as felt as necessary for us to put in that much because so I will get the exact figures to you though.
Yeah, you've got my email address anyway. So,
yeah.
Okay.
Right. Secondly, the Mac Town Council website. Laura, you will know that I always email you and ask you to send me the full from whatever the finance committee, the full council. That doesn't appear on the website. Now, I know that I have to email you to get it, but my next door neighbour doesn't know that. And all they see is, oh, something's passed, oh yeah, and it's not shown. And basically, it isn't transparent. It has to be on the website. So can I request, if it's possible, via you, Madam Mayor, that all the documentation appears on the website?
Okay, more for transparency, I'm sure that Laura, our lovely town clerk, will explain.
With this, I 100% agree with you. This is why we're having a website revamp, because the back end of that website is quite complicated and difficult. The other problem is it has to be accessible to AA standard, and it's hard to get those papers accessible to AA standard. But I completely agree with you, and I encourage people to email me. I'm happy to email them out. I'm quite quick at responding and getting them to everyone, but they will be when the website is revamped. That's one of the absolute aims that we have, to get all those papers on there, because it helps for understanding.
Okay. Can I ask, to save emailing you every time, that you put me on a mailing list and send it?
Yep, I put people on a mailing list, that's no problem.
Okay. Just one more thing, and it's the precept. My precept has gone up by 21%, 24.1% in the last 2 years. And I appreciate we've had COVID and you've got a lot going on. I am interested to see what you've been spending the money on, but you have explained a lot of things tonight. So in 12 months, I'd be interested to see what the precept is and see what you've achieved. You've all gone silent.
To be honest, I think we've achieved loads in these such difficult circumstances. We have given a lot of community groups and charities funds for to help the community, to basically feed the community, and also with the we've employed more staff. You know, I think we've achieved a lot. I'm sure that Laura has got all the facts and figures in her head. As I say, I've not been out and about for a while. There's not a lot I can hold in my little head. Off you go, Laura.
Just to say, there's been an increase in staffing, the one extra member of staff, increasing in town rangers, the pavilion, the taking over the asset of the pavilion. There's money in the budget for community transport, which unfortunately didn't get spent last year. So there's lots of projects that have been held up by COVID, but there is, you know, moving forward, hopefully, as we come out of this pandemic, we will be able to start picking them up, and we're seeing some of them move forward, like Middlewood Way Lights, things like that, that have, you know, we've just been really held up by. So yes, I think you will see lots of things happening in the next year.
No, I appreciate what you just said, and that's where I'm coming from. Let's wait 12 months. Yes, you have done a lot, but 20% last year and 4.1% this year is a big increase. I don't know if anyone can sort of explain the increases to me.
Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I'm certainly happy to add to the presentations that the councillors have all made this evening, and also to the information that the town clerk's just given us. The precept increase in the first year of this new town council went towards achieving our strategy, including increasing our staffing and also increasing our ranges. We are increasingly funding the Visitor Information Centre. We're taking over paying for that on behalf of Cheshire East Council. We've mentioned community transport, of which we've allocated £100,000 in the budget for last year. So that's a carry forward for this year that we weren't able to complete because of COVID. And we're funding a conservation area review to also, that's something that Cheshire East Council would previously have paid for. And that is actually working very well at the moment. We're getting a lot of engagement with the public. The meetings have been well attended, as Councillor Jackson reported earlier. And we are increasing our ranges. We have increased our ranges over the past 2 years from 1 to 3. And we're also taking on a Kickstart ranger with the government's Kickstart funding. Certainly the rangers are the service that we get the most positive postback from. So those are the key items of increase for the first year of the town council. For this year, we're also looking at a website review, as you've just heard. We're introducing ward budgets, so individual councillors can support community organisations in their wards. I mentioned earlier about the allotments. and the work we've done in improving all of the allotments. We've also created a COVID recovery fund because we were very conscious that our community organisations really struggled working with the Cheshire East People Helping People organisations. We have this year increased our funding to support the Citizens Advice Bureau to £50,000. We hear a lot. We have a report at every full council, as I'm sure you know, if you're looking at the papers, about the work the CAB are doing and the real struggle that residents are having and the support they need with the implications of COVID and the lockdown, etc. So I think that we're delivering excellent value for money, and certainly I think it's important when you're looking at precept amounts, whereas the Macclesfield Town Council precept amount is actually quite small compared to a number of our neighbouring parishes. And really, the increase is actually 85 pence per household per month if you look at the council tax. So I think it's important to look at the amounts as well as the percentages. But I think we're delivering really good value for money as a town council. And I'm sure you've heard this evening of all the excellent projects we're involved in, working with our colleagues in Cheshire East and other stakeholders. So I think the precept increase is really making a difference, particularly to the most vulnerable in Macclesfield.
Okay, thank you.
Are you happy with that, Gareth?
Yeah, no problem. It's been explained. Everything's been explained.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and that's exactly what these meetings are for. If you're not sure about something, and you know, you can always get in touch with your local town councillor at any point. We're all very accessible. So thank you, and thank you so much. And yeah, my condolences right back to you. It's a horrible time, but yeah, we'll get through it. Laura.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I just want to bring up about the voting thing. If it's okay with everybody, I've got the number of votes and I'm just going to clarify it with Chalk, just so we're all on the same page. So I've written it down and I've got all your emails. So if I just want to check, it's quite complicated, but I just want to check it. So I may come back to you shortly and just update you on that. If that's okay with everyone, just want to clear it and make sure it's all okay.
Yeah, thank you. That's very efficient of you, Laura. Right, so I'll carry on and you go and check. I won't mention Jackie Weaver. But there you go. I have Brittany. Right, so we've got now, we've got an open forum now. It says to receive reports from parishioners, but it's basically a discussion and an open forum. So we have to play nicely. We are in the spirit of kindness and cooperation still. So I've got Abishka. Are you still there, lovely?
She's having trouble with her connection.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it? Shall I go to the next speaker and then go, and then while she comes in, would that be acceptable to everybody? Yeah, just give me a little nod. So wake up, Brian. Don't nod off, Mr. Puddington. Okay. So Brian Puddington, yeah, if you've got something to say, my dear.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think I just wanted to mention the Rangers really, and can congratulate the Town Council on the work that the Rangers do. Certainly in the casework that I do as a Cheshire East councillor in Macclesfield South Ward, the Rangers service was recently mentioned to me a couple of times by different residents in discussion with problems. So certainly in Macclesfield South, the Cheshire East and the Macclesfield Town Councils work closely together. I'm grateful for the fact that the Rangers are there and for the work that they do in Macclesfield South Ward. Only other thing I would mention possibly is the electrical vehicle charging points. I know something that's often mentioned by the Town Council in their responses to planning consultations. I think that's kind of something that's clearly very important, and there's very limited the number that we've got in the town. So I would hope that they would be increased. And I think I would say is, you know, I look forward to the future of South Park and to be able to have a drink and use the loo in the pavilion there once it's redone. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Councillor Edwards. Take yourself off mute, lovely.
Right, I've got it. Can you hear
There
me? Sorry about that. I'm on the phone and I've never used this before for Zoom. Just to say about the EV charging points, we had our first meeting with Cheshire East officers the other day, Laura and I, and Fiona Wilson is joining in the next one. We look back through the records and believe it or not, Macclesfield Town Council has been asking Cheshire East Council for 4 years to help us with charging points. We got to the stage where we had an independent survey done by a company, and I believe that we've actually sent this survey to Cheshire East to help them get sorted out. They promised us a survey which was due to be finished, I think, in February, March. It wasn't. We turned up for this meeting recently with these senior officers. They still didn't have the survey. We're going to have another meeting, I think in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We're pushing very hard for these charging points. The sticking point, if I might say so, seems to be that the modern chargers, the super fast chargers, need a very good electricity supply. And it's getting the electricity suppliers to give us the electric good enough. It isn't just a question of plonking them on a car park. It has to be a very good supply for it, but it's something I'm very, very keen on. We have, as I say, we've had a survey done of Churchill Way, Waters Green, Duke Street, and Wally Hayes. And so I do believe that we will have these charges certainly within the next year to 18 months. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, David. Councillor Edwards. I'm sure with you on the case, we'll get them sooner rather than later. Gareth, you've got your hand up, lovely.
Yeah, can I just add to what you said, David? You probably know, most of you here know that I was a town councillor until 2000 and whenever it was, 19. You are right. It is in that 4 years, we were trying to get electric charging points. If we go back, and I think Nick Mannion will remember, the planning permission for Lidl down at the thing, and the Cheshire East councillors were asking for charging points. We were asking for charging points, and they said, yeah, they'd love to do it. I think they're going to put 2 in, but they said if they put 4 in or 6 in, basically it would turn the lights out in Macclesfield. The infrastructure isn't here. You're right, what you say, we were trying and trying and trying. I was taking photographs of charging points all over the country and send it in, but nothing ever happened, and I wish you luck. So,
we need to pedal faster, I think.
Yeah, we need to get someone on a bike, but that's the situation. The infrastructure's not there.
Thank you, Gareth.
Okay,
let's see. As Abishka, has your internet survived? Yes, has it come back on?
No, it hasn't.
She gone?
She's gone.
She's gone. Bless her. Oh, well, better luck next time. You're more than welcome to come again. Okay. So we've got Nick Mannion now. Nick, are you actually outside, Nick?
No, that's a background. As part of my portfolio at Cheshire East, I'm responsible for the visitor economy. So, as people who are fortunate enough to watch cabinet and council meetings, I regularly change my background, but they're all from Cheshire East. That's Tatton Park.
Oh, it's lovely.
But
right,
I've had Tegsnose, I've had West Park, I've had South Park, I've had Victoria Park, and I think Danes Moss is going to be next. I've also had Mactown Football Ground, but that was a bit of a cheat. Gareth will like that one. Just going back, you were talking about environmental impact assessments. I know the vote was lost, but I think if Laura contacts Cheshire East Council, and I can give her the contact name, they will supply the environmental impact assessment. Because don't forget, they're a look going forward as looking at the consequence of doing or not doing something. So I'm sure it'll be in the public domain, but I'm sure Laura could access it on behalf of the town council going forward.
Yeah, can I just come in? And I just want to update you that I've checked the rules and it's also a third. So the motion is passed. It will be put on the town council agenda. So that's completely my fault. My apologies. So I will put that on the next full council agenda.
And you can certainly get hold of
Laura for checking
that are being done. One second thing before I ask the question is Crystal on the call? Yeah, you are, Chris. I'm involved in the fire authority, as is Councillor David Edwards and the town council. And the Prince's Trust run two training programs a year for Macclesfield Fire Station, and they are always looking for projects for their participants. There's about between 10 and 15 on each cohort. So again, and it's quite a long-term commitment. It's a 3 or 4 month long commitment, and they're quite happy at getting their hands dirty and doing stuff. So it might be worth, if that's an option that Chris might want to pursue, I could put you in touch with the Prince's Trust contact at the fire authority. Just to say, anyway, I'd just like to, it's been really interesting this afternoon. I'll just say I'm really disappointed about how few people are on the call, but it's been really encouraging to see the benefits of the council working with partners, not just Cheshire East, but a whole range of statutory partners, voluntary sector and businesses on a range of issues and projects across the town. And the ones that struck me are the work up towards a climate emergency, the town centre recovery plan, which has been held up as an exemplar piece of work across Cheshire East and beyond, the pocket park at the bus station, that was a real grot spot that's now been tidied up permanently. South Park Pavilion, well, I live on South Park Road, so I would be in favour of that, wouldn't I? And the Ranger service, the Rangers are a really visible presence of the town council out and about. So I'll get to the point I want to ask you about. As we're now emerging, hopefully, from the last lockdown, one would hope to see such collaboration and cooperation continuing, especially around regenerating our far too long neglected town centre. Therefore, can residents, businesses and visitors expect to see these partnerships continue once COVID ends and be strengthened to meet the further challenges for Macclesfield, especially for its town centre? Because it's a real gem. It might be a bit scratched around the edges at the moment, but there's so much potential there. And I think some of the work that's been done in lockdown, I really hope you can continue to do it. Thank you.
Well, I, for one, we're going to say, yes, certainly. That's what we're all about, working with not just stakeholders, but the general public. And, you know, we represent our residents and they, you know, so that's what we do. Councillor Jackson, it's your bag.
Yes, thank you. Yes, co-chair of the Town Centre Recovery Group. The networking that's been going on over the last few months has been tremendous. And the input from people around the town, all those different groups, it's been a very positive experience and really positive energy. And I mean, I've just got the example with the museum, and the museum have recently received some significant funding, and so they have got great plans for in the town, and they're working with the recovery group. They're calling it, you know, Macclesfield is the venue. That's how they look at it now. It's not the museum, it's the town. The town is the venue, and of course we support the visitor, the tourist information, visitor economy, and that's all part of it. And we're finally looking to be able to move on our Tunnicliffe Trail. So that's another thing, you know, I didn't mention that with the heritage and culture that we are linking into with the museum, and the Tunnicliffe Trail that we want to see through the town. And of course, it's a centenary commemoration of Tunnicliffe later this year. There's always something we can celebrate about Tunnicliffe, his birth or some event. So we're going to be linking things with Tunnicliffe through the town. And there's just so many plans that we'll be taking forward. So, you know, I think it's been a really good meeting. I think we've been able to showcase a lot of the things that the town council is doing and will be doing over the next few months as we come out of this pandemic, and hopefully we free up and we're able to socialize and get together again. So, you know, it's really looking forward to the future. I think we're just coming out of it now, hopefully. And say thank you to everybody. I think it's been a really positive meeting, and thank you to all the people who've attended and come along.
Thanks, Janice. That's brilliant, and it is lovely. I can't wait to see people in real life, not just on the computer. And thank you very much for that question. I think we can see light at the end of the tunnel, and we can see recovery, and we can see our little town getting back on its feet again. So we've got our last, unless Nick's got any more questions, we've got our last speaker, Sandy Livingstone. Is Sandy still here? Oh yes, there you are.
I've been listening with great interest. I think it's been a great meeting to hear all the things that have been done. I think what I'm probably more interested in is active travel and particularly green space within the town centre. So I think the initiative for the pocket park is really important, as is the work that's starting to be done in the town centre to open it up. I think I'd pick up the point that was made earlier with Gareth. Yes, one of the challenges we have in terms of environmental sustainability in the country is the ability of the national grid to cope with it. That one of the things that will have to come over time is investment in that to make it work, so that we can have more electrical charging points and put them in easily to encourage that sort of use. So I think what I'd be interested in how we continue this partnership, similar to a previous speaker, that how we continue to build that partnership to ensure that the town centre regenerates properly, and that it deals with and it also picks up the heritage opportunities within Macclesfield. I think one of the things that strikes me is the amount of heritage that's actually here, that sometimes it's hidden because of what might have been done with previous town planners, but I think it is there, and it's useful. It's really important that we build upon it and that we protect what we've got. So I think I'm interested from the town councillors, Madam Mayor, how that will continue in a similar vein to Nick.
Sorry, can you just repeat the question?
Sorry, what I'm interested in is how the town council sees itself working in partnership, particularly with the Cheshire East, to continue that progress and make sure that the town centre recovery is actually sustained going forward.
Yeah, I think that's something that we do. We have to do, because we're not Macclesfield Borough Council anymore, so we have to consult and work with Cheshire East. So, you know, and it's a positive relationship most of the time, and we are in, as I said right at the beginning all the way through, we are in that spirit of kindness and cooperation and working together for the people that we represent, and that's, you know, that's definitely something that we will be doing in the future. I don't know if anyone else wants to chip in. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, certainly the achievements we've made and the distance we've travelled so far is because we have all worked together as a team with the town council, with Cheshire East Council and other stakeholders I mentioned earlier when I was doing my little bit about town centre recovery. I think one of the key things that came through the town centre recovery plan is how many residents and businesses got involved in contributing to it. There was nearly 600 residents and nearly 80 businesses. and we have an action plan. Many of those points that have been discussed this evening are coming through on that. With heritage, I think that's really, really key. And I know, Sandy, you did attend, as a number of people on this call did, the conservation area appraisal work we're doing, where we're talking specifically about heritage and protecting our heritage. And we are moving forward and working together with Cheshire East Council, with stakeholders, with residents. And we've decided to have an event involving local school children, which Councillor Hutchinson's done an excellent job on, working with Valley-Broom and Tiddington High School, where he was a former teacher department, to get young people involved in saying what they think about the heritage of Macclesfield. In terms of active travel, I think there are a number of things that Cheshire East have brought forward that we are supporting and working together on. And one of the things that the last full council agreed was that we would work to relight the Middlewood Way. Lots more people are travelling, cycling, walking, and we've got an excellent route there that goes from Macclesfield to Bollington and beyond to Stockport and Manchester, and links in with many other cycle routes. So that's something else that we're doing. So yes, I'm confident that we'll continue working together with stakeholders and residents and Cheshire East Council, Peaks and Plains, all the other organisations we're working with the voluntary services, etc. Because it's been so successful over the last couple of years. It's clearly a recipe for future success as well.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. Does that answer your question, Sandy? Thank you. Councillor Hutchinson, and then I'll take some people who seem to have come back on.
Just again in response to the question from Sandy. I became a councillor in July last year after spending 36 years teaching in Macclesfield in secondary schools. I imagined Chris will be interested to hear this, that I thought I was just going to concentrate on riding 120 miles a week on the road bike, but I managed to do that as well as getting involved in the council. And what struck me from the first point of joining the council was how much positive energy there is within this group. Everything is about it's got a can-do approach to it. And I'm heavily involved in the planning committee now as chair of planning, and the team is superb. The knowledge of planning issues and matters, the liaisons with Cheshire East are close, and I think it really will bring a lot of confidence to the people of Macclesfield if there were more residents on this. You've seen the number of residents who've been involved in the town centre regeneration. It's been varied and in large in number, and I think as people begin to see our town council working together and achieving these things, then it will bring more confidence in people that they are getting value for money. Here we've got town councillors who work for free. There's no salary involved. We're all giving out of our time freely to help and do what we can for the people of Macclesfield. So I think the people of Macclesfield can be quite confident going forward that you've got good people to represent you, wherever you're politically,
And Mike, you're a good person too.
Hopefully.
It's just one big loving, isn't it? So we've got a couple of people that seem to have come back. It's Lynn Jones there. Lynn was due to speak earlier, but she was busy. Are you there, Lynn? I feel like I'm at a seance now. And Abishka, her picture's come back on, but I don't know if her internet has. No, so I'll give them and they can come back in if they arrive online. But if anyone else has anything that they want to say. Just gone. I don't think Lynn's come back on. Oh, Beverly, you've got your hands up.
I have. It's one really for the future going forward. I mean, at the end of this month, parking on pavements is going to be looked at rather grimly, and places like Paradise Street and certainly a lot of others where the roads are very narrow, people park on the pavement so that they can have access down the street. What thought is the council going to take about on this? What stand are you going to take? Because it is going to mean that an awful lot of people are going to have nowhere to park and there isn't the current capacity. What are your thoughts, basically?
That's a tricky one, isn't it? It's parking, dog muck, and yeah. Does anyone want to respond on that? I don't seem to recall discussing that at council just at the moment, but I've missed a couple of meetings. So does anyone want to comment? Maybe that it's something that we do need to discuss in the future. It's a tricky one. Nick, you've got your hand up.
Just to say, pavement parking's been unlawful in London for many, many years. And I think there are parts of London, I think the whole of the borough of Islington, there is not a single metre of public road where you can park without some kind of restriction or holding some kind of permit. Yeah, the government has done a consultation on pavement parking. And as you know, if you obstruct the pavement, you can be given a fixed penalty notice by the police. Now, I think Cheshire Constabulary work on the rule of thumb. If you can't get a buggy or a wheelie bin down the footpath because of a parked car, they will give you a ticket. So we're not just talking about a couple of wheels on the curb. I think and Beverly's right, it's the devil will be in the detail. I live on South Park Road. We can just about get an emergency vehicle down South Park Road without parking on the pavement. But that's not the case for other streets in the locality. So I do know whatever, as part of the consultation, a lot of responses were you can't have a one-size-fits-all policy on pavement parking. There has to be some kind of flexibility. Certain in older Victorian and Georgian terraced areas, like we've got in parts of central Macclesfield. But the devil will be in the detail. I'm gonna have to wait and see when it comes out.
Yeah, it's a tricky. I mean, the amount of wing mirrors I've lost is unbelievable. But you know, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you need to be able to get. My dad was a wheelchair user. You need to be able to get a wheelchair and a pram past, and that would be my measure. But you know, if the law says something else, the law says something else. So obviously, when the time comes, we'll look at that. Does anyone else want to respond to that? Beverly, is that? You happy with that? She's gone.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. It is just something to consider, I think, going forward. So, thank you.
It is, yeah. Well, you know what? Thank you ever so much, everyone. You've been absolutely charming this evening. And it's good to be back with friends and neighbours, shall we say. So if no one's got any further questions, I think we can draw the meeting to a close. Yeah, everyone happy? Town Clerk, is that okay? Thank you very much.
I will send everybody who attended a copy of the minutes once they're done. And the more I think about it, I think, Gareth, your idea of having a mailing list just so I can automatically just distribute it, I'll do it. If, you know, there is complete transparency and it's quicker for me just to put all the papers out in one go. So that I'll get that done in the next few weeks.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Stay safe.
Thank you, Sarah.
Just before I go,
great job. Thank you.
Go on, Gareth. You want to?
Can I just say hello to everyone I haven't seen, because a few people know me.
Hello.
I'm getting waved at.
Oh, yeah.
Take care.
Hello, family and friends. Yeah, I know my family and friends watch online too, so that's lovely. We can't quite do radio requests, but yeah, I know where you're coming from, Gareth. So I look forward to seeing you all in real life very soon. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Take care. Bye. Bye.
Good evening, everybody.